Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Universal Lens. I am John Emilio.
And I am your co-host, Henry Beltran.
Henry Beltran. We have a lot of stuff on the table, I feel like, today. I don't know why.
Yeah, I have an extra water
I
bottle
have
there.
waters, cups. We're a little bit different now. Different mic stands, kind of pushing us back a little bit. So
Yeah.
We'll see how this all plays out. A little bit more comfortable for us instead of always sitting up on the table.
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah, and I don't know if you know this, but I got a complaint from the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission.
You got a complaint?
Yeah. So apparently, the Universal Lens goes on longer than it should.
Is the FCC a spouse, a child?
No comment. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, we tend to go on long, and that's just how we do it.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? It is what it is, guys. Sorry.
It's funny, but it's a shame the freaking camera's not on for our pre-show.
Hour and 40 minutes today.
Today, I mean,
I think that's a record.
Our pre-show is something else. Yeah, I think if you record that pre-show, you'd have people that, whoa.
Yeah, but we talk about a lot of stuff that's, I mean, some of it's personal. And
yeah, well,
you don't want people that,
right.
Not that we're talking about people, but people who are involved in certain situations in our lives. You don't want them to be outed.
What is that? The names and identifications of the following person
have been changed for their protection.
Well, actually, for their protection or our protection, who knows?
In this case, it would be our protection.
Yeah, right.
But it'd be interesting. I mean, the topics are whatever. I mean, it's sometimes our show kind of morphs from that, even though we talk about things that maybe we don't want to have, public because they're personal issues
right.
that people are talking about and stuff like that. But from there, a certain idea of or behavior that's involved in what we're speaking about comes about, and we start talking about it, and the mindfulness always plays into it, and we're like, well, do you see how this person's acting unconsciously? You see how that's an unconscious thought? You see how if you allow yourself to kind of just sit with that and not aggressively follow it, something else might come up on its own, like that. Like we've talked about before, like that inner voice will speak to you if you're not as, just hyper focused on one thing, constantly gnawing down on it. You'll hear those other things that kind of bubble up in the background. So it's kind of cool. So,
Yeah, and for the past few weeks, we've been kind of doing that with my own personal situation where we take a lot of the motifs, a lot of the, the happenings and a lot of the mindfulness that we apply to that, and we bring it here. It's kind of been happening.
Sure.
It's life. It's life. Life happens every day, and
that's a good thing, by the way.
You didn't notice that?
No,
I'm here to tell you.
when it stops happening every day, that's when we have a problem.
I'm here to tell you, life happens every day.
Life happens every day.
Every day.
There's no lack of topics in life.
Yeah,
no.
It's always throwing curveballs at you, and
Yeah, and that's where this all comes into play, and that whole awareness and mindfulness and just watching your thought and watching your thoughts and your emotions and not buying into everything that your mind says is such an enlightening way to live your life. And I was talking with my wife yesterday, and I told her I had an idea for what I wanted to talk about today. And she goes, "What's that?" I said, "It's the need to be needed." And she was like, she kind of looked at me like, "Need to be needed?" I go, "Yeah, the need to be needed." Like, and I'm not picking on moms, but like, when a mother has that need to constantly be needed in their child's life.
Yeah.
And that could be a very consuming place for that person to be, even though they don't realize it. They think that like they believe that they're well, I'm keeping, my kids need my help. And look, our children do need our help. But how much is it that the child needs your help, and how much of it is that you just need, you have this necessary need to be needed by that person. And where does that come from, that need to be needed? Like, is it just your mind that says, this is who my identity is and I have to be this thing? And how does that kind of, by the way, hinder the relationship with your child sometimes? It absolutely can. You ever hear a kid say, "Mom, you suffer," or "Dad"? We'll go with fathers too. I'm not trying to pick on moms. Dad, you're suffocating me. Enough. Like, hold on. We actually know this. Baseball dads, right? We were baseball dads.
We were witness to it.
I was an asshole at one point, being a baseball dad with my kid. I suffocated him when he was younger because I had no awareness. I had no reason. I didn't know. I thought I was trying to help him, but I actually was taking the joy of playing the sport out of him. And this is when he was really young, until I kind of realized what I was doing. It's like the need to be needed. It could be a tricky topic because, and my wife said, she goes, "Yeah, I'm not listening to that episode."
No.
It's like, why?
No.
She's like, I don't want to hear that. I'm like, oh my God.
We were just talking earlier about the
shocking.
We were talking earlier about the science of this all, and you were like, there's got to be some sort of basic science, but then there's also this mystery of it all too. And I think that the need to be needed, you can root it in science. I think you can root it in.
You can root anything in science. I mean, that's what I was when we were talking upstairs about the mind.
You could root it in science, but
sure.
Think about this as we did the other episode. Think about this caveman wise. Go back to the
caveman.
Yeah, go back to the basic human being, and I think that a basic human being has. This is all speculation too, but.
Oh, of course it is. Yeah, a lot of it is, but
the need to be needed is almost as if to say, this is why you are put on earth. And let me explain.
I kind of think I know where you're going.
It's like you mentioned before, like the mom, and you mentioned mom because you really bring up an image in somebody's head where you can perfectly see it, right?
Yeah, or a mother wants.
So forget about the mother or father. Let's go with the mom.
Yeah.
But
moms.
What's funny about the mom is that the mom, before that the mom has children, actually the mom has a life. She's doing X, Y, or Z,
career, whatever it might be, right?
You have a life. But when the child comes, it's something inexplicable where this is your reason for being.
Well, it is for a while. Because the child, when you have a kid, the kid, forget about just a kid, a puppy with its mother dog, a baby horse with its mother horse, any kind of animal with its parent, a human being with its child. There is a point in that child's life where it needs for survival, it needs its parent. So the parent has this purpose of taking care of their children, right? When our kids are babies, they can't walk, they can't talk, they can't feed themselves, they can't change themselves, right? They don't have those motor skills yet to take care of themselves. Okay, so we take care of them. Then they get older and they have the motor skills, so they're walking and they're talking, little personalities are developing, and they can feed themselves. But we still need to watch over them because they don't have that higher level of intelligence to understand what's dangerous, what's not dangerous yet. So we just need to guard them and watch them. But then they get even older. Now they're teenagers, and now they kind of know this, danger, hot, cold, you're sharp, not sharp. No, don't put your finger in electrical sockets. I did that when I was a kid a couple of times. So we've all.
That explains a lot.
Yes, it does. Spiky hair sometimes. So you get to that phase, and then the kid grows out of that phase, and they get even older, and they start to kind of live their own lives. But now what happens to that parent who has been for the last 15, 16, 17, 18 years being this protector of this child, right? And has done a damn good job of doing it because this child's 18, this child is well fed, the child is educated, the child's a good moral person. Like they've done. What happens when this kid goes, and this is just human nature, there's no warning, right? There's no there's no well, this is going to be happening in 4 months where your kid
Transition period.
yes, no, there is, but you don't realize it. There is a transition period. You just not, there's no awareness that you see it
You're
happening.
blind to it.
You're blind to it. So what happens? This kid all of a sudden one day just disappears. Like not disappears, but
Yeah.
starts their life.
Yeah.
Go to college. But maybe they never come back, or they don't come back as often, or they don't call, every 3 days. And I'm not saying they should or they shouldn't. I hate the word should anyway. Actually, I was talking about this with my kid this weekend. I hate that word, but it's not that they should or they shouldn't call, but they're living their lives. So what happens to that parent now who has this void of, well, now what? Now what do I do? Now what am I supposed to do with their life? So they have this need to want to interject again in some way into their child's life because they want to be needed. They need to be needed. They need to feel like this is my purpose in life. Well, your purpose in life now is to be an elder guardian for your children, not that protector of them anymore, because these are things that they have to start doing on their own, right? So, and that could be, listen, that could be, I see it with a lot of parents, and that could be it could be a major point of suffering. Probably a better way to put it. For especially, we use the mother because the mother tends to be, maternal and nurturing, and the father tends to be maybe a little bit more disconnected from that, I guess, at times, depending on the type of father they are. But notice, if you're a mom out there, notice, do you have this urge to be in your child's life constantly? And if you do, well, how healthy or unhealthy is that, right? Because the more you need to be needed for your child, the less your child is kind of doing on their own, the less that they're getting to become adults on their own, and the more pain and suffering it kind of causes you. It's a natural part of life. As our kids get older, they go out on their own, they start living their own lives, and we don't hear from them as often. And that's not a bad thing. I mean, it's nice to hear from your kids. Don't get me wrong. I saw my son this weekend for his birthday, and that was great. But now I might not talk to him for 4, 5, 6 days because he's doing his thing. He's living his life. He's whatever, involved in school, scholastic, sports, social life. Okay, go do what you got to do. And I don't know. It was something that just kind of came across my mind. I was having a conversation about something, and we were talking. It wasn't my kids; it was somebody else, and how this one parent is gonna, their answer is always to, and the kids are older, to have an answer for them. And it's that's not healthy. Take a breath, don't do nothing, see what the kid does on their own. See what path they want to take before you say, do this or do that or do the other thing, because are you really helping that kid if you're doing that? And by the way, that, like you said before, can that lead to resentment? I know when I was a kid, when my mother would crowd me, all I wanted to do was get the fuck away because I wanted to breathe. And as much as I love my mother to death, love the woman, she's a saint on earth. I love the woman, but when I was a kid, I wanted to get, okay, enough. Stop asking me if I'm okay. Stop asking me all these questions. Okay, and it comes from a place of love, but how much of that is blind love? Is it unconscious love? We don't realize what we're actually doing.
That's 100%.
Right?
In my opinion,
and I know this might not be popular with some moms,
I think it could be popular.
Or dads.
No, look, okay, dads. What does anybody out there really think that when my son left at 18 to go to college, that I also didn't feel that certain pull?
Absolutely.
So we're not without feelings.
Of course not.
But we are somewhat aware.
Well, it depends on the person.
We're aware of the situation. We're aware of the significance of what's going on.
Yeah.
Whereas a mom, especially unconscious mom, might be, what the hell's going on here? What the hell?
Imagine. It's rooted maternal instincts that it just,
John, it's the highest calling. It's, honestly, think about
being a mother.
It's the highest.
Oh, yeah.
It's the highest calling.
110%.
And you're going to rip this from me.
Yeah.
And so it's hard for a mother who hasn't prepared herself consciously about this event, that's going to have a really tough time and will fall into the same traps that your mother fell in, where you're suffocating.
And still does.
Well,
As much as I love you, Mama.
But you know what? Good for you having awareness, knowing where she's coming
Of
from.
course.
Right?
This is good for the kids to hear this too, by the way.
Because it happened with me.
Yeah.
I told you, I came up with an abusive background. My mom used to beat me every day, but she loved me. It's weird.
You know, it's weird to say that.
And as an adult, it's weird. As an adult, she obviously you can't beat me up anymore because I'm big, right? But as an adult, she completely respected me. And I completely respected her, and we had a very good relationship because part of it was me understanding that, hey, you didn't do that to me because you hated me. You did that to me because you didn't know any better.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So because your mother doesn't know any better, she's unconscious, but you know where she's coming from. She loves the absolute living crap out of you.
Absolutely.
Same thing happens with all moms going through this. So, if my wife, who I know misses my oldest son dearly, like,
oh, he's in college, sure.
Right. But if my wife doesn't alter or, let's say, modify her behavior, she could come off like your mom was coming off, right? Where
a bit much,
right? You know what I mean? And we do have to let things play out a little bit, right?
Yeah,
and so
I agree.
As you were talking, I do my own analysis, and I said, I am not without contact of my son. I may not contact him every day, but it's probably every 2 to 3 days.
Yeah,
I'll send him a message. Like yesterday,
sure.
I sent
What's
him a
up,
message.
Cook? Yeah.
I sent him a message that was a kiss face and a bicep arm.
Bicep arm.
Like, love you, stay strong. Whatever.
Yeah,
literally
gotcha.
2 little emojis. He loved it, and it stayed there. I said, "Hey, I forgot to ask you this. Did you start reading the book?" This is a true thing, and that's it. I'll leave it there. Hey, how was practice? Let me know, right? How'd it go? And then we'll leave it there. So that I want you to know that I'm here for you. I even said those words. I said, "Hey, I'm trying not to bust your balls, man. I'm just checking in on you. Just letting you know I'm a dad that loves you, and I'm over here. Whenever you need me, let me know. Thank you, love you. One of those. But the need to be needed is so strong that if you notice, there are people that have pets because of that reason.
To fill a void?
Yeah.
And I love dogs. I'm a pet lover as much as the next person is.
Please, because in 2023, I'm not saying that because
these aren't judgments on anybody.
Right.
Zero
I have
judgment.
2 dogs. On top of 3 kids, 2 dogs. So
zero judgments on anybody here about anything.
But the fact that the dog needs you is filling that little needed void.
Sure.
And that also can replace a maternal instinct where my little baby needs to be fed, my little baby needs to be walked, or the little baby needs a bath. So
it's funny you say this. I know so many people who have dogs, and I had a dog for 16 years, right? I never referred to my dog as like my brother or my child or anything like that, but I had a dog for 16 years and I loved him, Duke, right? Greatest dog. I always had a great time with him. I have so many friends who like, they come over to grandma. Where you go? I say, I don't see a tailing coming out of your ass. How are you his grandma? I'm like, how are you his grandmother? Come over to grandma, come over to grandpa. I'm like, oh, okay. And I get the cuteness of it. I understand it. So it also depends how the person's, I guess, saying those things sometimes, right?
John.
Yeah, but sometimes it comes off a little.
When you don't analyze the source of the feeling.
Agreed.
And you just look at the feeling, that's my little son. That's my little daughter.
Why? So, the question is, why is that person referring to this animal as their son and their daughter? Because there's a need. Because if there was little kids in the house, they probably would refer to the dog as the dog, and they would love the dog the same way. They would take care of the dog the same way, but they wouldn't refer to the dog as a child. So a lot of times it'll happen, like you just said. That's perfect. That's a great example. Like people will get pets because. Look, I would love to have a dog. My wife's allergic, but I would love to have a dog, not because I want something to take care of, but because they're just fun to have around. Play catch, go for walks, hang out with. They're great animals, great companions. But certain people get them because, okay, I need to take care of something. I need to take care of something. I need to take care. And look, I get that's the maternal instinct, and that's, like you said, it's probably the greatest gift in life.
It's the ultimate calling.
It's the ultimate calling is to be a mom. But if you are a mom and your kid just recently went away to college and you find yourself suffering because you feel like there's something missing there, well, look at what you think is actually missing. Your child is still there, thankfully. You still have this love for this child. This child probably still loves you, I'm sure, just the same. But your need to want to take care of them, well, you could turn that energy into something else if you want. You could refocus yourself into doing something that you want to do while your child is starting to live their life. Not to say that you're not, oh shit, you're not there for your kid. If your kid needs you, no, that's not what we're talking about.
But part of what we talk about daily, or let's say weekly here, is letting go, right? And, you have to let go to sort of experience, right?
Yeah.
And what the mother who continues to cling to that 18-year-old kid and wants to suffocate him because she has a need to fill.
There's no acceptance.
Yeah. So you have to sort of let go, and I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you let go with this reframe. The reframe is well, you're never done. All right. So I'm gonna tell you that you're never done. You'll always be the mother, whether they're 84 years old and you're 104 or 114. You're always the mother. But congratulations to you for completing. It's like getting a diploma. You completed your schooling, and you did it. You did it. You did it. So this is your point. This is your chance to take your diploma and go get a job, go start a career, but let go of the schooling that happened because you're done with school already. You're done. You've graduated. I think it's going to help you realize that you've completed your mission. I know you're never done. You'll always be there.
You completed probably the most important part of your mission is to.
That's right.
Make him into this self-sustaining human being.
That's right. That's all those years that you taught.
That's all you're doing.
Taught morality, that you taught life skills, that you taught how to engage with other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
How to engage with your family. All that stuff. You've done it. Congratulations. And if you have other kids coming up, continue to do so and understand that the clock, as you say, the time clock, or what is it?
Time clock, yeah.
Doesn't stop. So, we have more white hair or more or less hair. We do age. So they age as well, and they get older and older, and pretty soon they're going to be the age that we are right now. And can you imagine that now we're, 60, 70, and we're going to be the same? At some point, you have to let go because you've done a great job. You've done it. That's it. So now you do need to be needed. Nobody can avoid that need, for lack of a better word.
What do you mean can avoid that need?
Yeah, so the need to be needed, I understand it as a human reaction.
Yes.
Human,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
So we all...
Natural.
Right.
It's natural.
Yeah, we all...
It comes up. It's when you don't have awareness of it.
So now, if this is your situation in life, and if it's not, whatever, but, you have your spouse, you have other children, as spouses, you need each other. And you have a need to each other.
Yeah. Okay.
You can apply that focus there, because sometimes you need to apply that energy somewhere, right? Because sometimes you just that's it. I dropped it. No, sometimes it's not that easy to just.
Yeah, but so you have to be careful that you're not going to go from.
Oh yeah, I get it. Momming your kid to momming your husband.
You're not going to go from smothering this pillow to smothering that pillow, because that's all you're doing is replacing, and you're not evolving, right? You're not. There's still no awareness. Your mind just went, okay, this isn't here. That's getting the dog for that reason. It's getting an animal or a pet because I need to take care of it. So the urge to need to, when we say need to be needed, the urge to be needed is a human. Is a natural human emotion or want, right? It's just how we're built. We're communal. We're very I guess what's the word I'm looking for? Like group based, or I'm looking for a certain word.
We're pack.
We're pack animals.
Yeah.
We enjoy being around each other and taking care of each other. That's human instincts, and that's absolutely fine. But you just got to be careful that if you don't have the awareness and you just make that your only purpose is to always be needed by somebody or by something, like, are you just chasing your tail? Are you never off the hamster wheel? Are you constantly at the beck and call of your mind when it tells you that this is how it has to be? So, and this isn't about not taking care of somebody, not being there for somebody, not loving somebody, not helping a child, even in older ages when they need help on something. No, it's not about that, but it's about how much of it is helping when help is needed, or being there when it's needed or requested, or your need to always be there. Like, if I'm not there, if I'm not needed all the time, I don't know what I'm like. What do I do with my life? Like that's see, and when I hear somebody say something like that, it's kind of alarming for me. I'm like, well, hold on a second. We all love our kids. We all want to take care of our kids, but like if we don't have a kid to take care of, because listen, many things happen in life, whether they've moved on in life and they moved away, or more a little bit more tragic. God forbid somebody loses a child. Your purpose in life doesn't end. Your purpose in life is to live life every day as it is. So if you don't have a child in your life today because your child's married and moved to California, my mom had a daughter when she was 19, moved to Italy to work, or London first. 19, 20, something like that. She went to London to work for a few years, or early 20s, I'm sorry, early, maybe 21, 22, 23, around there. She went to London for a few years. She came back home, then she went back to Italy. And I have a sister who lives in Italy. She's been there for the majority of her life now. 2 kids, married, great husband, great family out there. I mean, I love her to death. And it's
your mom still probably hasn't gotten over it.
My mom probably still hasn't. No, and she'll call her every day, and my sister will call her every day, and that's fine that they do that. I'm not saying that that's something wrong with that.
That's not the wrong part.
But if there's a phone call missed, my mom will worry right away. But some could be my sister. She's busy. You have a life, kids, and it's hard. So like that need to always be there could be hard. And I give my mother credit, because it's not easy sending your kid across the country, especially nowadays. With technology, it's easy to get in touch. Back then, it was a house phone. There was no cell phone.
That's
You had to wait till she got home from work, 6-hour time difference to hop on the phone. So I give my mom all the credit in the world there. Like that was not easy for her to do. But I mean, so pay attention to that. Like, what's the purpose behind it? Like, is it because you just have this need to be involved because I need to know that I'm needed by somebody? Well, I could need myself. I'll take care of myself. I'll take my energy and I'll put it towards me, things that I want to do with my life now.
Right.
Now that part of my life is kind of past. I'm not the caregiver anymore. Maybe there will be a point where I need to be a caregiver again, to elder parents maybe someday. And when that happens, okay, then we assume that role that's required. But it's when we need that role to constantly be the same and we don't want that change, even though that change is being thrust upon us. Well, that is the ultimate cause of suffering. That's when we suffer to the point where like we start replacing things with other things and other things and other things to always be in that little kind of realm.
I think all roads,
lead to Rome.
Mostly all roads, yeah. Mostly all roads lead to consciousness. I think if you're conscious about it, you're not going to have the. I mean, you're going to have let's say a slightly hard time, but you're not going to have that. You're going to realize that you're bothering your child, or at least you're going to know, wait a minute, what am I doing here?
Oh, if you have awareness, yeah, like, of course you will. You'll notice it.
I'm about to text him again. I'm about to,
And by the way, all human, so we all fall victim to it once in a while, right? This isn't about perfection. We're all human beings, so we're all going to fall victim to being a human being, or those tendencies are going to arise. It's if there's no awareness, you don't catch them, and you don't catch them every time, and you don't catch them every time, and you don't catch them when you have that awareness, when you realize, and people are like, well, where'd you get this idea? Need to be like, where'd this come from? So a conversation, because because I tend to be very aware when I'm thinking, and I kind of look at things from a very broader perspective. I'm not just involved in what my mind says John wants, or the egoic mind says, well, this is the way it has to be. I even like look at my answers after I say them sometimes, and I realize where that answer came from. Well, that came from this kind of thought pattern, right? So, like, where does need to be needed come from? It was, like I said, it was a conversation where I realized that this was happening. I'm like, well, look, I'm seeing that behavioral trait in the way this person is responding, right? And if you don't have any awareness, you're just going to keep doing that behavior. When you have it, so even if, like, I'll fall prey to it once, like I'll text my son, he doesn't get back to me, right? He doesn't get back to me. It's a day. Like, okay. So now my mind starts to grab it. Yo, what's up? And I want to get in touch with him, right? To see if everything's okay. So, I mean, it's not about not having that urge or that urgency or that feeling to do it. It's having that awareness to realize when it's a proper time to do it, and when it's not a proper time to do it, right? Not because my kid hasn't called me yet this morning, I'm going to call them. Your kid maybe has a very busy day. You know, it's there's a lot going on. It could be maybe they just don't want to freaking talk to you right now because they're hanging out with their girlfriend, and I'd rather hang out with my girlfriend to talk to you, mom and dad. Okay, I get it, because when I was a kid, I wanted to hang out with my girlfriend instead of talk to my parents too at times. You know?
Not me.
Yeah, right.
Not me.
Right.
No, it didn't happen to me.
No.
Yeah, no. I find myself doing the same thing, and because I have a good level. I think a good level of awareness. I measure myself.
Yeah, and then I think that's the important thing. That's what we're trying to say.
I measure myself. I want to make sure I'm not that overbearing parent, because at the end of the day, look at this. Holy Christ. I want my son to want to come. You know, I don't want my son to feel like, oh God.
Okay, so we learn a lot from nature, don't we? We can learn a lot.
The need to need,
and
the need to want.
Yeah, so we can learn a lot from nature. Any spiritual teacher worth their weight in gold is going to tell you that nature is our best teacher if we're willing to pay attention to what nature is teaching us. If you have a dog, and I use dogs as an example because it's a very common human pet. Sorry. If you have a dog and you keep him on a leash constantly, you never let that dog off the leash, like ever, ever, ever. And I get it. You know, certain breeds shouldn't be let off. I get it. It's a metaphor. Follow me with the metaphor. And you never take that dog off a leash. When you take that dog off the leash, after 15 years of having it, is there a chance that dog's going to come back?
Sprocket, where are you?
Sprocket's gone. Sprocket's at a farm upstate New York walking on I-95 at this point. But if you have a dog and at a young age, you keep him on a leash because young dog's stupid. The young dog will run in the street, get hit. But then you start taking him off the leash and go, hey, Sprocket, come back. Sprocket learns to come back. Hey, okay, now you go to a park, safe place. There's nobody around. You let Sprocket off. It's allowed to do it there. Sprocket goes off. Sprocket runs. Sprocket runs 100 yards away from you. You stay where you are. Sprocket comes back. And then you do it again, and Sprocket comes back. You're learning that if you allow this like you just said, that's what reminded me. When you said, like, Cookie's going to want, like, your son's going to want to come back. If you don't smother that child's going to come back on its own. But if you never let that child breathe, what do you think that child's going to want to always come back, or it's going to come up with reasons to not want to come back? Like, I'll go visit my parents 2-3 times a week, not because I have to or I feel like my mother needs me to, or my father wants. It's because I want to go visit my parents. Mom, Dad, you okay? You need anything? Dad, you need a hand around the house? You bubble, whatever it might be.
You stop in.
I stop in. My father loves making me lunch. It's his thing. When I come over, he makes me a sandwich. Fantastic. Like, he makes me lunch. So
that, you know how beautiful it is?
But I do it now, not because I have to, but because I want to, but because I was allowed to breathe there, where I'm like, okay, I'm not suffocated. Sure, I want to come back because I love them to death. But imagine you don't. Imagine you're always, oh, my kid. And then you wonder one day when your kid goes away, I haven't heard from my kid for 4 weeks. I mean, there's a reason maybe. And not because your kid doesn't love you. It has nothing to do with that. Your kid can love you to death, but your kid just wants to breathe for a while and live their own life. So, if you have a dog and you teach them how to live off a leash, that dog's going to come back. It'll come back. If you have a dog that you never let off a leash and you constantly are hand on its collar, well, do you think that dog's going to want to run because it never ran before? It's like, oh, this is great. And it might just get lost then. And maybe that dog does get lost, right? And maybe someday it finds its way back. But the more you allow that dog to breathe, the more you allow your child to breathe, the more you don't suffocate that kid, the more that kid's going to naturally come back to you. I mean, listen, this is based on my experiences and Henry's experiences and things I've seen firsthand and he's seen firsthand. So, I mean, your situation might be different, I guess.
Yeah.
It can be, everybody's situation is different. We're just talking in theory, like this is how it works. So if you're a parent that, you feel like you need to be needed, look at it from your kid's point of view. If you're a kid, if you're that kid, do you want your parent up your ass always? Especially when you're older, you're an adult, you're trying to live your own life.
That's good perspective.
Where they're telling you, oh, I'm going to do this for you, I'm going to do that for you, I'll do this for you, I'll do that for you, I'll do this for you, I'll do that for you. And then you want to know why your kid feels disgruntled. And look, and it's hard nowadays, I get it too, right? A lot of kids have to live at home because it could be expensive to live on their own. So kids are living with their parents into their late 20s nowadays. It's not like it's uncommon.
Yeah.
So imagine when you're living in the same house, how hard it is for you not to do that. Like you have an adult child living with you because it's tough and they need to, and that's fine, right?
Yeah, and if you have this level of consciousness that understands what's going on here, it's not that your baby is 28 and he's still at home because he's your baby. No, your baby's 28 and he's still at home because, listen, he's trying to get his footing in life,
Yeah, sure. He or she is trying to.
He's got student loans. He's got a situation.
It's absolutely fine.
Instead of going to rent somewhere, I might as well try to stay home and
save money.
But
get that.
If there was no consciousness present, then what's going to happen is mommy continues to mommy, and the son, if there's no consciousness present, allows mommy to continue to mommy,
or the daughter.
Or the daughter, same thing.
Or the daughter,
or the daughter. And that is where the unhealthiness comes in. And that's where he's 31 and he decides he's going to leave now. He's going to get married. What do you do? Because you have no conscience. You're not aware of the fact that
so you lose that without that awareness,
your higher calling.
You feel like you lost that higher calling, and now you're like, now what's my life's purpose?
It's gone.
Well, but it's not. It's that. So it's about life, and we've talked about this before. Life is about roles we play. So like today, I'm playing the role of podcaster. Talks about spirituality, and what I wrote in the book. John. Well, it's great, right? And I said this before. And tomorrow I'll be whatever, John. And the next day, there'll be a work thing. Maybe I got to deal with something for work, or I volunteer. I'm going to be volunteer, John, working here, volunteering there. So, but they're just different roles that I take part in. But I don't attach to any of those roles because roles come and go. So when your role of a caregiver goes away, okay, that role, and and if we're attached to it, is where that sense of longing for it again is going to come to. When there's when I say attachment, it's not an attachment of caring or loving for somebody. It's an attachment on a thinking level, on identification level, where this is who I am. If I am not this, what am I?
Yeah. And
that almost killed me many times in my life, that kind of thought pattern, because this is what I am. When my identity is challenged, well, it's very painful. So enjoy being a caregiver for your kids. Enjoy being a mom. Enjoy being a dad. But understand that part of life will phase out. While you'll never stop being a parent to your kids, I understand that. But the needed part, where you're needed in their lives, eventually starts to phase out. Acceptance of that will allow you to not only not suffer, but wait for it, be a better parent also.
Yeah.
Be a better father. Be a better mother, right? Be a better caregiver, because you don't need to be that thing, but you want to, because it is actually actually needed now at this time, right? You're not doing it because you need to fulfill something in you. You're doing it because this person actually needs help now. So you're going to go back into mom mode. You're going to go back into dad mode. Like my son, hey, dad, I got a question. All right, dad mode. Let's go. What do you need, bud?
Yeah.
All right, dad, I'm good. All right, back off mode.
Right.
No problem. So it's
interesting. Huh?
it's when it's coming into the roles and coming out of the roles. When you're able to come in and out of roles in life, suffering is something that's very hard to get entangled in, because you're allowing that flow of this is what's requested of me and required in this moment. Not because, I'm going to make them dinner. They're 32 years old. I'm not going to make my kids dinner because they need to eat this week. Well, you fucking kids, learn how to cook for yourself. Because you can. If you couldn't because you need help or there's a disability, that's, again, it's different. Now it's required for you to still be a help for that child. But allowing yourself to ebb and flow in and out of those roles is where you won't get identified with them, and you're not going to suffer. You're not going to need to replace it with something else. You'll actually be able to do something else in life. Find a passion, find something that you'd want to do instead of sit home and be like, well, now what? Now what do I do? And like I said, your relationship with your children will be much better.
Yeah.
At least from what I've seen firsthand for my life, and
And first thing is circle of life. Second thing is analyze your relationship with your child and compare it to what you had happen to you. And that's what I always used to say that. I used to tell my wife before we had kids, I said, the way that we want to parent is, first of all, there's no manual on parenting. So the way that we want to parent is go at it with the most heartfelt way you can, meaning, love first, but learn from the mistakes that your parents made with you and don't try not to repeat them. But along the lines, you're gonna make your own sets of mistakes.
Of course, mistakes is part of parenting.
So now is your chance, like John. Honestly, thank you for, being honest about it, about how the situation with your mom. It's endearing. It's endearing because your mom loves you, and I'm glad that you're aware enough to understand where it's coming from.
Of course,
instead of oh my God. Because that is how the majority of us would like, oh my God. And I'm sure there's days that
there was a time where I was, oh my God. And this is especially, and I again, if you have awareness, you realize where this person's coming from, and you could disconnect from that, and you could be like, okay, but you could still require your space. So like, it's not about, so I wouldn't tell I never told my mom, leave me the fuck alone, because again, I love the woman to death, but I would, in my own way, be like, hey, I want my space. And I would get my space. That's just what I would do. It wasn't about me not wanting to be around a parent or mother or father. It was, I need my space right now. So I'm going to give myself space. And by having that awareness, you lose any, I don't know if resentment's the right word, but you don't resent the person for being a pain. Oh my God, this person's a pain.
Yeah.
Like I never went around saying, oh my, like, well, maybe when I was a kid, when I was younger, but like now I don't go around, oh my God, don't call me again. Oh my God, what is wrong? No, instead I'm like, hey Ma, how's everything? Good. And if I can't ease her anxiousness, I can't ease her anxiousness. And I use my mom as an example because she's so caring and so loving that there's a little bit of anxiety behind it. And by the way, I'm like her, so that's why I even notice it even more. I see those tendencies in me to want to be like that. So it's why I notice it in her even more, is because I notice it in me, so I see it in her also. Right? It's
you're
that
aware.
It's that reflective, right?
You're aware. And I think that is 75, if not 90% of this issue of the need to be needed. Just if you're aware of it, you won't fall into the classic pitfalls of,
absolutely.
Because at the end of the day, like you said, what do you want from your child? You want them to want
to come back home, to want to come visit you.
And more than likely, especially when we talk about our circle of friends and our we all accomplished that. We all have accomplished that desire of, trust me, the kids will want to come back, but it's your awareness that has to be present. I'm using all these. You have to be. Your awareness has to be present so that
they're very important. Those words.
You don't choke the kid and be like, "Get off my back, for the love of God!" And let's all do some reflecting. That if we felt that way about one of our parents, why would we want?
If you didn't like it, if you didn't like it,
right? Why would we want to do that?
But we don't realize it when we're a parent. When you're a parent, you don't realize that you didn't like it when it was done to you.
But the reason is because it's the higher calling, and at that moment, you're blinded by your higher calling.
Yeah, sure.
But you're not realizing that.
If you hear your parents say when you're a kid, when you're a parent, you'll realize it.
100%.
You'll understand when you're a parent. You'll understand when you're a parent. But so just because they said it to us doesn't mean we got to act the same way and say to our, like, it becomes this unconscious thinking that you never break the cycle. Well, you'll understand when you're a parent. You'll understand when you're a parent. You'll understand when you're a parent. And we'll say the same thing. Oh, no, we're going to annoy you because you'll understand when you're a parent how much you love your kids. Yeah, it's all well and good. Totally get that. But how about we're able to break that cycle and say, instead of saying, you'll understand when you're a parent, be like, you'll understand when you're a parent what it means to love your child, but you'll also understand what it means to allow that child to grow up and live their own life. Instead of just being like, oh no, you'll understand when you're a parent the anxieties that I have and the worries and the thoughts that I have about you and your health and your safety and this and that. You'll understand when you're a kid, when you're a parent. Okay, but all that does is you're teaching that kid to act the same way, and guess what? They're gonna do that to their kids. And when do you break that cycle to where you start to really be able to? And we could all have great relationships with our kids, but imagine it could be an even healthier.
Right.
Not just a great relationship where you love each other, because the love isn't the question here, but where you could have a better, healthier relationship with your child. Like a real healthy relationship, a real give and take, not where I'm still the ultimate parent, controlling and still intertwined in your life as you're getting older and older and older. Right. It's going to come to a certain point where it's healthy for that to stop and be there when it's needed, but not when it's not needed.
Yeah, not overboard.
Yeah, not overboard.
So anyway, I said before the circle of life, because I drop comments, and by the way, this is unconsciously. I don't think I do this consciously, but I love my kids so much, as you do, as anybody does. Of course. That I now see the future, and I say, I can't wait. Because I knew that I loved my kids before I had them. My wife can tell you, we were in high school, because we've been in high school, and I said, I love them. Well, I don't even know them. I love them so much. Like, that's how I was. And I'm talking that way about my grandkids.
Yeah, you're very loving by nature.
I talk to my kids about their kids. I was like, I can't wait. Yeah, I can't wait to be, because I'm going to be the most loving grandfather you've ever seen. And it's funny because they can't even fathom it. Like, what? But why do I fathom it? Because we are. We're here where we had our oldest leave the nest, and we're here. Like, before you know it, we're going to be there. Life goes like that.
It is a circle of life, absolutely. But don't be in a rush to get anywhere, man.
No, I'm trying not to, man.
No, man. Enjoy where you are today, no matter wherever you are. Be present. Be where you are today. Yeah. And a lot of the things that we worry about in life, or we perceive to worry about in life, just kind of melt away. They kind of melt away. We'll deal with things as they come. But yeah, the grandkids thing, I'm sure it'll be hopefully, it'll be a very enjoyable phase of life, right? One of the latter phases of life as an adult. And if we're lucky enough, I would say,
that's it.
Instead of saying I can't wait, or I know I'm going to love them. Yes. I will be lucky enough to actually experience that part of life. If I can experience grandchildren, and if my kids don't want to have kids, it's fine. But if I can experience being that older, that more mature, and if I have grandkids or not, but experience that with my children, then I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah.
See that, and that's how I look at it. Instead of saying that's what I need, or that's what I want to have, or I can't wait for that. As much as, on on a practical mind level, sure, there's that part of my mind like, oh, I want to have grandkids. It'll be so much fun. I'll teach them how to play baseball and blah, 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 and all that fun stuff. And teach them how to, maybe I'll get one of my kids to want to do a burnout in a car like I like to do burnouts. It'd be great. That's all well and good, but I'll say I'll be very thankful if I actually get to experience that part of it.
That's true.
That's it,
That's true.
So, moms, if you listen to today's show, understand we think you are the warriors of the world. We love you all to death. And we just want our kids, we just want give a little bit of insight to maybe something that could help you have a even healthier relationship, as healthy as it might be today, with your kids moving forward. That's it. Yeah. Take it, don't take it. Remember, there's no judgments here. You can't love your kids enough, but you can love your kids to death if you're not careful.
And just reflect on, what your parents did and what you liked, what you didn't like. And if you didn't like that smothering, well, try to catch yourself.
Because guess what? They're probably feeling the same thing. So, yeah. I don't know. That's pretty much all I got for today.
Let's give these guys a break. Did we go an hour?
50 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're good. All right.
FCC.
So, yep. Thank you. We're brought to you by San Pellegrino. No, we're not.
One day we will.
In Deer Park Water.
One day we will.
Okay. So with that note, I think we will wrap this up.
El Rapo.
All right, guys. Well, thanks again for listening in. Hopefully you got something from it, from everybody who likes and comments and people who are listening, because people are listening. I mean, we see the views on YouTube, and I see on Podbean, I see the downloads. So people are listening. Whoever you are out there, keep listening. Hope you're getting something of it. If you want to drop a comment, do. If you don't have to. But
please share it.
Yeah, follow along and share it. If you do know somebody who could benefit from listening to two schmoes talk about this stuff, sharing is caring.
And do we still have those freaky countries listening? Remember, every once in a while
we had Israel last week.
Yeah.
Somebody in Israel. Yeah, I don't know who.
Like I am talking to you. Right?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's Hebrew.
Oh, okay. He speaks Hebrew too.
Yeah, that's right. Gay cock enough and yum.
What?
Yeah, it's Yiddish.
Oh, what you just said sounded really.
Yeah, it is. It's go shit in a hat in Yiddish. It's a common, Yiddish.
Oh my God!
So to our Israel friends.
So there you go. You're gonna learn a little Yiddish on our show also. All right, guys. So thanks for listening. Let's wrap up our show like we always do.
Yeah, you please.
Back to me.
Grand Poobah.
Yeah, the Grand Poobah. The Grand Poobah. All right.
By the way, send a comment. Who you prefer? If you prefer last week or you prefer this week?
Yeah, we're gonna do that.
We gotta spice it up.
Spice it up. Let us know who you like better.
Yeah.
Doesn't make a difference.
Votes. Be like AGT.
AGT. American. All three people are gonna vote. All right. So again, purpose of this is to, all the joking aside and everything we talk about, is to, again, focus on that awareness and, just be able to notice what's happening in our minds and not get attached to it. So let's start taking some deep breaths. And we do a equal inhale, hold, and exhale. The amount of time I will leave up to you. I like to do probably 4 to 5 seconds. So you can inhale, hold, and exhale slowly. And just keep doing that pattern. And as you're breathing, pay attention, notice, but do not engage what you're thinking, feeling, whether it's a physical sensation or just a thought pattern or a judgment maybe of what we talked about today. Maybe something we spoke about triggered something in you today, something you didn't like. Notice that it's there. Don't judge it. Just notice it. That practice of noticing is going to be the insights. That's where you get those insights from. So just practice that and notice it. and allow it to flow by, and bring your focus back to your breath. You start to become aware of something greater than just your thinking mind. It's this essence, this knowing, this seeing behind everything that allows you to become aware of it. Just keep breathing. If you want to focus on a body part, if you want to move on from the breathing and focus on a body part, that's fine. If you do body scans also, you can start from your feet and work your way up. Go from your feet. You can go to your lower legs, thighs, to your abdomen, shoulders, and you can do that. Or you can stay on the breath. It's really up to you. There's no right or wrong here. The practice is the key. It's not about doing it right or doing it wrong. It's about doing it. Anything that comes up again, allow it to be there. If it's an emotion, see that emotion. Don't attach to it. It's not about identifying with it. It's about realizing that emotion is there, separate of who you actually are. Let's take a couple of more breaths. Last one. And slowly open your eyes, and we're back. If you want to stay here, guys, please feel free to. If not, peace out and enjoy your day.
Thank you, everybody.
Love you, moms.
Yeah, that's true.
The insights and discussions that we speak about on our show are our own opinions and based on our life experiences. If you or someone in your family or someone you know is suffering and in need of help, please get them that help through medical attention or seeking proper therapy. Again, what we speak about are based on our experiences and not intended to be taken as a form of therapy. Thank you.